So here's another example. This time it's about random numbers, and I'm going to actually probably do two of these. And so the first one is going to be about numbers. And so we have the second number. Let's say you have two numbers. The second number is the reciprocal of the first, and their sum is a minimum. Some of your homework problems are going to be like this, where you're basically just trying to guess some numbers, but you don't have to guess. You can actually work it out. And so if I have two numbers, let's say x and y, I know that the first number, let's say I'm going to call it x, and the second one is the reciprocal of the first, so that's 1 over x. And I know that their sum is a minimum. So if I add x plus 1 over x, that's going to give me their sum. Well, what do I want to do with this is, in order to find what's a minimum or a maximum, I have to find some critical values. And to do that, I need to take the derivative. And so I'm going to find s prime, the derivative. And here, the derivative of x is just 1. And the derivative of 1 over x is minus 1 over x squared. How do I know that? Because 1 over x is the same as x to the negative 1. When I take that derivative, I get negative 1 x to the negative 2, which is minus 1 over x squared. What I can do is set that equal to 0, and then I can solve it. If I move the 1 over x squared to the other side, I get 1 equals 1 over x squared. And then if I want to really take the long way in solving, I can cross multiply, and I get x squared equals 1. And so x equals plus or minus 1. If I'm only going for the positive numbers, then 1 is going to be my answer. I get 1 and 1, or I suppose negative 1 and negative 1. But I think that in this case, we're looking for all positive numbers. The directions are actually going to tell you to only pick the positives, which is kind of nice. I'm going to do one more example, kind of similar to this one. And this says that, so here we have our last example. It says the sum of the first and twice the second is 100, and the product is a maximum. And so the first thing I'm going to designate is I have x and y, and I'm going to say that the sum of the first, x, the sum is plus, twice the second, 2y, is 100. And I know that the product, so I'm just going to say P, is x times y, and I know that's going to be a maximum. And so what I'm doing is I have to find a way to only have one variable here and then take the derivative. Now you can do one of two things. You can either solve for y and plug it in here. If you solve for y, you're going to have all x's and you'll be finding x first. Or you can solve for x and then plug it into the other equation and solve for y first. I'm actually going to do that because I think it's a little bit easier to deal with. And I get x equals 100 minus 2y. I'm going to plug that in here. P equals 100 minus 2y times y. And when I distribute, I get P equals 100y minus 2y squared. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take the derivative. What a surprise in this unit. And that gives me 100 minus 4y, and then I'm going to set that equal to 0 because I want to find my critical number. If I move the 4y over, I get 100 equals 4y. And so y equals 25. And then to find out what x equals, I'm going to plug it back into the, whoopsie, there goes my paper, into the original equation. X plus 2 times 25 equals 100. And then I can solve for x and find out what that is. Now in your homework, when you're doing this, the first problem you're going to encounter is going to be very similar to this, except for that it has you make a table to find out all these things. It actually walks you through it even more. And so our numbers are 50 and 25. They're both positive. And if we add the first 50 plus twice 25, so 50 plus 50, we get 100. And if you were to graph something like this, you would get a parabola that's downward facing, and the point would be 25 comma 50, or sorry, 50 comma 25 would give you the maximum. That would be the vertex of that. So if you have any questions on this assignment, please make sure that you bring it to our class meeting, and I look forward to seeing you. Have a nice week.